Hi guys, let's start a new chapter which is called compound interest. Now this year you have two chapters on compound interest, one without formula and the other one with formula. So we start with compound interest without formula. Before we start, let's quickly revise simple interest. Simple interest is the interest which you earn on a principal that you keep with a bank or is the interest that you pay to a bank when you take a loan. The formula for calculating that is P into R into T upon 100. P is the principal, R is the rate of return per annum, T is the time period in year and 100. Now, compound interest is nothing but repeated simple interest and the principal keeps growing. So let's look at an example. Let's say your principal is 10,000 and you're talking about year 1. This is your principal rate is 10% and we are looking at a total time of 2 years. And this is at compound interest. At simple interest, my interest would have been principal, which is 10,000 into rate, in this case 10% into time, in this case 2 year upon 100. So this would have been 2000 rupees. So simple interest for 2 years would have been 2000 rupees, which means for year 1 it is 1000 and for year 2 it is 1000. That's why the total simple interest for 2 years is equal to 2000. Let's look at compound interest. In case of a compound interest, the simple interest for year 1 and the compound interest for year 1 will exactly be the same. Let's see the calculation. So compound interest for year 1 would be equal to P RT upon 100, same formula, principal 10,000, rate 10. This is for the first year, which means we're looking at 1 year upon 100, which is equal to rupees 1000. But at the end of 1 year, this interest gets added to the principal. So amount at the end of 1 year would be principal at the beginning plus interest for that year, which is equal to 11,000 rupees. Now this now becomes principal for second year, which means for year 2, compound interest would be equal to principal for year 2, which in this case now becomes 11,000. Rate is 10 multiplied with 1 because this is the second year, and this calculation gives us rupees 1100. Therefore, or not 1, CI2. This is CI2 because this is for the second year. Therefore, total compound interest will be equal to 1000 plus 1100, which is equal to rupees 2100. So notice there is a difference between CI and SI. That difference is in this scenario 100 rupee. Also notice that the CI for year 1 is equal to SI for year 1, but for each subsequent years the CI will be more than the SI for that year because the principal gets increased. Here the principal gets increased by 1000 rupees. So CI is always more than SI for each subsequent years after the first year. Now this is done for year. I could have compounded it half yearly, which means it gets compounded every half year, which means the interest is calculated for half year and gets added to the principal every half year. Let's look at some questions and solve them. So question number 1. It says rupees 16,000 is invested at 5% compound interest compounded per annum, which means after end of every 12 months or 1 year, the interest gets added to the principal. So find the amount in 4 years. So we don't need the 5th year. It's given already in your book. So I've just made the table, but we don't need the principal or the interest for year 1 or year 5. So for year 2, so let's write for year 2, principal is equal to amount for year 1, which in this case is 16,800. So this is 16,800. Interest for year 2, we can also write as compound interest for year 2 would be equal to principal for year 2 multiplied with rate multiplied with time upon 100. Time is per annum, which means 1 year. Principal 2 is equal to 16,800 rate is 5 multiplied with 1 upon 100. So that's 168 into 5, that's 500 and 300, 840. So this is 840, which means my final amount becomes 17,640. Therefore, A2 is equal to rupees 16,800 plus 840, which is equal to rupees 17,640, which now is my principal for year 3. So for year 3, we have P3 is equal to 17,640. Rate remains the same for all years as per this question, 5%. And for this year, time is 1 year again. This is for the third year. So compound interest for third year will be equal to 17,640 into 5 into 1 upon 100. So that's 1764 into 5. Let's do this calculation. 5 into 4, 20. 5 into 6, 30 plus 2, 32. 35 plus 3, 38. That's 5 plus 3, 8. So 8820 divided by 10, which means rupees 882. So this is 17,640 is principal for year 3. 882 is interest for year 3. Let's add 17,640 plus 882. That's 2, 8 plus 4, 12, 15, that's 18. So this is 18,522. And now this becomes the principal for year 4, 18,522. So for year 4, let's calculate compound interest for year 4. This would be 18,522 into 5 into 1 upon 100. Let's multiply 18,522 multiplied with 5. That's 5 into 2, 10. 10 plus 1, 11. 25 plus 1, 26. 40 plus 2, 42. And 9. That's 92610 divided by 100, which means 926.10. Remember, with money, we write answer in 2 decimal places. So this is 926.10, which means amount will be equal to 18,522 plus 926.10. This is 6 plus 2, 8. This is 4. 9 plus 5, 14. That's 19,448.10. A lot of calculations, but basically a simple question. Let's look at the next one. The next one we do is question number 2, part 2. It says calculate amount and compound interest. This is for 2.5 years and this is at 15% per annum. So for year 1, we have principal 1 is equal to rupees 8,000, which means compound interest for the first year will be equal to principal into rate, in this case 15, first year upon time. So 15 into 8, that's 120 with another 0, that's rupees 1,200. So amount 1 will be equal to rupees 8,000 plus 1,200, that's 9,200, which is basically equal to principal for the second year. So for year 2, what we have is principal is equal to rupees 9,200. Let's calculate compound interest for year 2, which will be principal into rate, in this case 15 into 1 year upon 100. So that's 92 into 15. 92 into 15, that's 10, 46. This is 2, 9, 0, 8, 13. This is equal to rupees 1,380. I hope you notice that the interest keeps on increasing every year. So amount 2 is equal to 9200 plus 1380, which is equal to rupees 10,580, which is equal to principal for third year. Now for year 3, but this is not full year, this is only a half year. So this is a half year. And what we get is Principal for year 3 is equal to rupees 10,580. Compound interest for the third term, which is a half term, will be 10,580 into rate, which is 15, into time, in this case half a year, upon 100. This is 2,1, this is 2,529. So that's 529 into 15 upon 10. Let's multiply. So 529 into 15, that's 5 into 9, 45. 10 plus 4, 14. 25 plus 1, 26. That's 9 to 5. That's 5. 9 plus 4, 13. That's 9. That's 7. So this is rupees 793.50. Like I said, when we talk about money, we give answer up to 2 decimal places. So that's our compound interest for the third term. We need to calculate amount, which means final amount is equal to 10,580 plus 793.50. That's 10,580, 793.50. That's 0.503. 9 plus 8, 17. 8 plus 5, 13. That's rupees 11,373.50. So that's the final amount. This part of the question done. This wants us to calculate compound interest. Now to calculate compound interest, you can use two methods. For compound interest, you can do compound interest 1 plus compound interest 2 plus compound interest 3. So in this case, you will have 1200 plus 1380 plus 793.5. Let's add 1200, 1380 and 793.5. That's 0.503. 9 plus 8, 17. That 10, 12, 13. And this is 3. So this is 3373 rupees 3373.50. That's method 1, where you add the 3 compound interest. 3 in this case, whatever is the compound interest for whatever is the term for the question in mind. So here, that's our answer. There is a method 2 that you can use. Method 2 would be compound interest is equal to amount minus principal. In this case, our final amount was 11,373.50 minus, in this case, the principal. The original principal was 8,000. The answer will still remain the same, 3373.50. Whichever method you like, adding CI1, CI2, CI3, or subtracting original principal from the final amount, that'll give you the same answer. Let's look at the next question. The next question that we do is question number 3, part 1. It says, calculate the amount in compound interest 4,600 in 2 years when rate of interest for successive years are 10% and 12%. So now the rate is changing for 2 years. So for year 1, principal 1 is equal to 4,600. Rate 1 is equal to 10%. So compound interest for first term will be equal to principal into rate into time upon 100, which is equal to rupees 460. So amount 1 will be equal to principal 1 plus interest 1, which is equal to 4600 plus 460, that's 5060. Now for year 2, principal 2 is equal to amount 1, which is equal to rupees 5060. Rate for the second year, they have given it as 12%. Let's calculate interest for the second year. That will be principal, which is 5060 into rate. Year is 1 upon 100. That's 506 into 12. Let's multiply. That's 2 into 6, 12. That's 1, 2 into 5, 10. This is 605 and we have 2706. So compound interest is equal to rupees 607.20. This was divided by 10. Therefore, amount for year 2 would be equal to principal for year 2 plus interest for year 2. So that would be 607.20 plus 5060. That's 0.207665 equal to rupees 5667.20. So that's the final amount as per the question. They want us to calculate amount. I've already done. So compound interest will be equal to amount minus principal. In this case, 5667.20 minus original principal, that's 4600, and that gives us a value of rupees 1067.20. So that's the total compound interest. Done. Let's look at the next question. The next question that we have is question number 5. It says calculate compound interest for second year. So note, this is only for the second year. They're not asking for the total compound interest. They're asking for the second year. So for year 1, principal 1 is equal to 8,000. Rate is 10%. In fact, the rate remains the same for all years in this example. So compound interest for year 1 will be equal to principal into rate into time upon 100, and that's equal to rupees 800. Therefore, amount for first year would be equal to principal for first year plus compound interest for first year, which is equal to rupees 8,800. Now for year 2, principal for the second year will be equal to amount for the first year, which is rupees 8,800, which means compound interest for second year will be principal into rate into time upon 100, and this is equal to rupees 880. So that's the answer. They want us to calculate compound interest for second year. In this case, it will be 880. Let's look at the next question that we do. The next question that we have is question 6. It says A borrowed rupees 2,500 from B at 12% compound interest. Okay. After 2 years, he gave back rupees 2,936 and a watch. And this cleared the total account. We need to find the cost of the watch. So let's calculate the amount which he should have paid at the end of 2 years and see how we get it. So for year 1, principal is equal to 2,500. Compound interest for the first year will be principal into rate, that's 12, into 1 year upon 100. That's 25 into 12, that's 300 rupees. Therefore, amount at the end of 1 year would be rupees 2,800, which is equal to principal for second year. So for year 2, let's calculate the interest. Compound interest for year 2 would be equal to principal for second year, which is 2,800, into rate, which is 12, into time upon 100. So that's 28 into 12, 28 into 10, that's 280, 28 into 2, that's 56. So 280 and 56, that's 336. Perfect. Therefore, amount at the end of 2 years would have been 2800 plus 336, which is equal to rupees 3,136. Yes, 3,136. So he should have paid 3,136, but he paid only 2,936. So 3,136 is equal to 2,936 plus cost of watch. Therefore, cost of watch is equal to 3,136 minus 2,936, which is equal to rupees 200. So the value of the watch was 200. That's how he gave 2,936 in cash and 200 as a watch value. That's how he cleared his account. Let's look at the last question that I do with you from this exercise, which is question number 9. It says Govind borrowed 18,000 at simple interest of 10%. He invested this money at 10% compound interest compounded half yearly. How much money did he gain in 1 year? So he borrowed from someone and he lent the money to someone. So he will have to pay interest on what he borrowed and he will get interest on what he lent. So interest to be paid, which is at simple interest. So simple interest would be principal, which is 18,000 into rate, which is 10 into time. And this is for 1 year, which means 1 upon 100, which is equal to rupees 1,800. So he needs to pay an interest of 1,800 to the person from whom he borrowed. Now let's calculate the interest that he gets because he's lent the money to someone. Interest he earns. Now this is being done compounded half yearly. So in a year there are two terms. So for first 6 months the principal is 18,000, rate is 10%, and the time here is half year because this is 6 months. So this would mean compound interest for first term would be equal to 18,000 into rate into time upon 100. 0, 0, 0, 0, 2, 1 and 2, 900. So compound interest for first term will be 900, which means amount at the end of first term, which is 6 months, will be rupees 18,900. Let's look at for second 6 months, which is when the first year gets over. So principal for year 2, not year 2, for the second term will be equal to rupees 18,900. Therefore, compound interest for the term 2 would be principal for year 2, term 2 multiplied with rate, which is 10, multiplied with time, again half, upon 100. So this is 1890 upon 2, that's 945. Therefore, compound interest for term 2 is equal to 945. How much money does he gain? Therefore, total CI that he earns is equal to 900 plus 945, which is equal to rupees 1,845. So this is the money that he gets and this is the money that he has to pay. Therefore, his gain is equal to 1845 minus 1800, which is equal to rupees 45. So just by lending the money at 10% compound interest compounded half yearly, this man Govind earns 45 rupees in 1 year. That finishes this video for me. I have marked a couple of homework questions, question 3 part 2, question 7, question 8 and question 10. You please solve these questions. Thank you so much. Take care. Be safe. I'll see you with the next video.